up, nerds? I'm James,
I'm Jimmy.
and I have come to the starting realization that for me, college is right around the corner. And one of the biggest things about college life are Greek houses. I'm not very well educated in this stuff, but I do know I've recently come across a very interesting fraternity. Is that what they're called? I'm trying my best here.
So what I did was, as James is getting to the college age, is I showed him the best piece of recruitment video I could. Animal House.
For the classic Delta Tau Chi. I think that's
Exactly.
what
We
it is.
need the dues.
We need the dues.
So, obviously, one of the classic comedies of all time, directed by John Landis. It shows life at college in a fraternity. Now, it's not necessarily realistic, but in some cases it is.
It is very much so. My favorite is, obviously, I haven't been to college yet, but my father has, and he has had to deal with the hoity-toity underwear far up their asses wedgies of fraternities like the who are the jackasses?
I will not announce any of the negative fraternities, but I will say the ones that are fun. I personally am Beta Theta Pi, which is not exactly like Delta, but we had our moments. And it was funny to rewatch this as an adult away from college and see that, oh my God, this fraternity was like this. Now, granted, fraternities on different campuses are completely different. So on my campus, it was funny to be like, oh yeah, that is this Greek fraternity, this one. Oh, that's that sorority. It was very funny. But that aside, the stereotypes and the tropes in this movie, which kind of established some of these things. And granted, this is one of National Lampoon's very first releases, which makes it even funnier. And we get some of the greatest comedic talent ever with John Belushi as Blutarsky, with some of the greatest speeches ever when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
I think somebody skipped a few history classes.
When Dean Wormer's like 0.0, it's like, that's exactly why we see Blutarsky quoting when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor. It's freaking hilarious.
We'll just put the horse in his office.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Then you have, and this was a fun one because James is very much into 80s music and he's seen a lot of 80s videos. And I am not so much, especially Twisted Sister fan. And not that don't like them, but it's just whatever, they were there.
I mean, I just like the two songs.
So I know Niedermeyer from Animal House, and I knew he was the dude that was the jerk in those videos. So I'm like, James, who's that guy? And it's a much younger version, and he finally got it. Was like, oh my God, that's the jerk. And I'm like, well, this is what he was. It seems like he's always a jerk.
And it's so cool to see just that small little career path and how he aces it every time. I absolutely love the storyline for this movie. It is so much fun, especially coming off of American Graffiti. We did a double feature that night where we did American Graffiti and then Animal House. It was such a fun movie to watch and turn your mind off to and just laugh at. I loved watching the hoity-toity fraternity like do their best to try and suppress Delta and absolutely fail at every point in time. And seeing Kevin Bacon just out of nowhere, it's like, whoa, Jesus, he looks young. And he had a fun minor role in it. Seeing Niedermeyer be Niedermeyer, that was so funny. I loved, again, the idiocy that is Delta and how at every point in time they do the dumbest crap and make it out alive. It is so funny to me.
And their fraternity names are hilarious. Pinto, why Pinto? Why not? Flounder. I love when, and I already referenced this, when the members are down in the basement, whatever, drinking, and on the screen, the slide projector, they're showing who could be new members. And the one character, I can't remember, it was Flounder, comes up, I think it was Flounder, and he's like, we need the dues. So that's the only reason they get brought him in. Freaking hilarious. And it's not that that's accurate, but it's not 100% inaccurate in how they're judging these people and how they want to. Granted, this is 90s version. This is what I grew up with, and it still exists. And I know what it is today, but you would basically review members who were coming in. You weren't going to be that brutal or that mean, but it did It was a process.
It was exclusive and it was exclusionary. My favorite bit is the entirety of when they go to pick up women. And the dude pretends to be the fiance of the girl who blew up in the kiln.
And just the story he tells, and he read the paper the day before, and she was an obituary, and tells I don't remember what the sister college they went to, whatever, and it's all female, and she's like, oh my gosh, is there anything I can do for you? I don't think I should be alone. And can you find 4 other girls for my friends? And it's like, what? Total setup. And then later on, when they go to the all black bar and they sit down and they're totally uncomfortable, and the 2 very large black gentlemen come up, mind if we dance for a few dates? And it's just like hilarious, because then they skedaddle, and it's like, wow, what?
Oh my god.
A nightmare. What a hilarity. And just all the people that are in this movie that you see. Donald Sutherland as a professor who smokes pots and sleeps with his students. Karen Allen, she's amazing. I love just about everything she pops up in. Best known for like Scrooged, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you're going to really do that. Starman. But she's just such a cutie, and she's in this. You have, I don't know if he won an Academy Award for Amadeus, but he certainly was Amadeus, and he was amazing. Tom Hulse as Pinto. I think he was Pinto.
Might have been.
But just like, oh my God, that's where you're going to start? That's hilarious. And this is one of the uses of the end title sequences that give us an idea of where everybody ended up, that James does approve of.
Because it's funny and it works really well. I had first seen the Community episode that parodies Animal House. So I had basically my entire knowledge of the movie based on that. And I knew at the end, there's all these little cards that shows where everybody ends up. And I love the ending, just the whole spectacle and chaos of everything that happens. And at the end, you get all these different title cards that are like, this person ended up here, and this person ended up here, and we don't know where D-Day went. And my favorite is still the president of the hoity-toity fraternity, and he was on Nixon's cabinet, and he got caught for being a part of the plumbers. And I laughed so hard at that, because it was so out of nowhere to me that it's like, oh God, he got popped for an actual federal offense.
Well, wasn't Niedermeyer shot by his own troops?
In Vietnam.
That's even, wow. But that's another character, D-Day. Absolutely love D-Day. He was hilarious, just awesome.
Whereabouts? Unknown.
I love Blutarsky. Was specific. I mean, it's famous when he's going into the cafeteria and he's eating and he's sampling the food and he's piling more and more and more food on his tray. And then he sits down and is like, what am I? And he gets the mashed potatoes all over everybody, and then he starts the food fight. It's like, this to me is the epitome of James Belushi in a movie. I actually saw this before Blues Brothers. So this is, to me, is the hilarity that is John Belushi. I think he's just amazing in this movie.
And oh my God,
he is what he is. Oh yeah.
He's an athlete.
When he makes that climb up to the roof.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, he's obviously he's been gone for a long time, but you see this and you're like, what could have been?
Yeah.
But Animal House, if you have not seen it, check it out. It is not for the faint of heart. It is definitely rated R, but it is hilarious.
Absolutely. Delta.